this will be another big day in terms of inflection of this country politically with the Gen Z protest that's, changed a lot of dynamics politically. And we have people who are saying, even with this old coots, as they put it, that are in politics, just let them be, because the natural attrition will catch up with them. So they will be falling off, one by one as flies because of the natural attrition. But we have it now really coming. And Gen Zs, with the next gen, they're actually taking this particular country and the politics, the brand of politics that we've been exercising as a country to another plane and plateau that we've never been before. What do you anticipate next week when we have sort of an anniversary of the Gen Z protests?
No, Dibala, let me just say that I was actually on the street myself with the Gen Zs because my daughter, who was then 17, went to the streets, and I had to go to the streets. My son was also on the streets, so to
supervise.
Yeah. So I was actually on the street. But one of the things that really impressed me that nobody's talking about is what were these Gen Zs actually talking about when they were on the streets? And if you looked at it, the level of knowledge and the level of information that these young people have is amazing. And for me, that's something, in fact, for me, the only thing we can cling on to for our future as a country are the Gen Zs. I did a paper a long time ago where I talked about cities without citizens. And what I meant then was the nature of citizenship itself and how it came to be. And a citizen wasn't just a voting machine. If you check the way it emerged in ancient Greece and so on, these were informed individuals who actually would sit down with the emperors and tell them how the state was meant to run. On the other hand, they were also patriots. In many instances, citizens fought. In fact, there were no armies in some of those, whatever. The so-called Battle of Marathon is a very excellent example where citizens, informed citizens, fought to defend their cities as it actually were. My issue is that, of course, sometimes we trivialize it around, but we've had a citizenry that in a way, are not also, meeting their citizenship rights, their responsibilities, and demanding of their government to actually meet their obligations. And for me, these are the issues that Gen Zs are putting on the table. The Gen Zs are informed, they're way better informed than all of us. They know how government is meant to function. They know, in fact, even those who are looting, the Gen Zs they've got the data. They've got the data and they're sharing all this. And how we end up responding to the Gen Zs is through violence. And for me, in fact, incidentally, literally all studies of violence of the state against its citizenry points to weaknesses of the state. There is no single state that has ever been violent against its own citizens and was considered to be an exemplary. Whether we look at Hitler's state, whether we look at Idi Amin across, and there have been studies of this, whether we look at the colonial state and his own violence, whether we look at Kenyatta doing this violence. If a state is violent towards its citizens, the citizens respond in violence, actually. And then you end up creating instability, which again is against the interests of the state. So for me, where I sit, I think if the politicians were serious, and that was my prayer when I was in the street with these young people, my prayer was that would the president just listen to these people? Would the Railas of this world listen to these people? Would members of parliament listen to these people? Rather than dismissing them as kids who are badly brought up. I was with my children on the street. I consider myself a very good parent. and to come and dismiss my own children with me, who's been trained to this level, who's serving this country, as you know, as people who are just troublemakers, as people who are badly brought up.
Who have demons.
Exactly. And the people blaming you are the thieves, the kleptocrats you're talking about. You catch a thief, and then the thief tells you that you are not properly brought up because you're meant to let them go free. So for me, I think if this political class is serious, they need to listen to the Gen Zs. The issues that the Gen Zs put on the table, and they spend time debating. If you check those posters, the issues were listed one by one,